Finals, as we are almost ready for game number 2. The big question on everybody's mind is which battleground will we head to figure out who is going to be able to take the lead, or maybe even an expert can tie us up. It will be MVP Black taking us to Battlefield of Eternity.
Historically, it's been a great map for this team.
Pretty good map, indeed. And that's a bit surprising to me that Expert was willing to give that up. I just said their two highest priority maps are Tomb of the Spider-Gwen and Battlefield of Eternity. And Battlefield of Eternity, historically, has been their best map. Before the HGC League last year in Sweden, they had one of the fastest games ever. I think it was against Liquid at the time.
Yeah.
It was like a 5-6 minute game, and everybody's like, their mind is blown, right?
It's the
that's how dominant they are.
The Sylvanas back then plays a factor.
But usually against Avatar or something. But I'm glad you mentioned that, JR, because actually Battlefield of Eternity is turning out to be one of the longest game time battlegrounds of this tournament, in stark contrast to some of those quick games we've seen. When you think about that, I think Expert would like to get to level 20 against MVP Black. They would like to have longer games. Europe always plays more passively, more safely, slow in every game of esports titles in Blizzard. StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3, and now Heroes of the Storm. So I think that's an okay result for Expert.
And it's one of the maps where we've seen the biggest comebacks in Heroes of the Storm history as well. Let's get on to it. Game number 2 here as MVP Black currently leads 1-0 in this best of 5.
Well, the Tyrael ban here is such a smart, safe starting ban. It's kind of, you could almost say it's, in this case, the Medivh bans we've been seeing from the Korean teams here. We see Tyrael dominate on this map for Korea for so long. China as well, if you look back at 2016 history. But this hero allows you to kind of counter any sort of dive, no matter what comp you're running. If you're running a poke comp, a race comp, a dive comp, you know, there's obviously variations therein, but you can also be aggressive with the Tyrael, and I think Black's playstyle, with how coordinated they are, he's one of the scariest heroes to face on this map, so I think it's a very safe opening ban here.
So the preferred warrior for Expert is Muradin, with the second being ETC. They've banned a lot of ETC and then picked up Muradin. They value this a lot. Rhaegar, preferred support for either team. MVP Black is going to take that. Now the Kharazim one, that is an unusual pick, which shows a kind of deeper draft strategy here. We haven't seen these two heroes picked together in HGC BlizzCon finals here even once, including opening week.
And this is going to be the first time Black plays on Battlefield of Eternity, so you know this is where we're going to find out exactly what they want to run on this patch. Obviously, we've seen them play countless times back in League, but in this format, or sorry, in this tournament, it's going to be the first time.
The interesting thing about this is two supports, but they're two melee supports. They do quite a bit of damage. We get the Iron Fist, of course, the Lightning Bond for Rhaegar at level 1.
Yeah.
It's got to double up on that heavy dive. So I wonder if Expert does have something to control that front line, something that we might not normally see. So with Muradin, it's a solid choice, but
it would not be crazy to pick up Arthas per se, but you don't know the damage type that's coming out of MVP Black yet.
That's the scary thing. They end up locking in the Sonya early. That does give the front line control. The Brightwing's going to be there in case we do see a potential Tracer again on that backside, so taking that away.
Plus, Expert has Spider Senses tingling. This is a weird draft. There's Kharazim. He gives movement speed to everyone, and he can enable dive comps. And so Brightwing, as an anti-dive hero, does pretty well. And so they just want to be ready early on to flex the final 2 picks.
Do you feel that there was a focus maybe on the fact that Athero right now feels more comfortable on certain heroes? Sonya's definitely one of them compared to having the Grey main last game.
I really think so. And I think that it's a safe pick because Sonya's always going to be a strong solo laner. I love that pick. Brightwing pick, not so much. There's no boss control that's important on this map. Genji is easily removed because the Brightwing bombs that have caused such disruption, such disarray in teamfights, it messes up the coordination of teams like MVP Black, so they ban the Genji away here. And now I look at Expert and go, what are you trying to build? You're trying to counter something, but with this Brightwing it feels, with the Genji gone, but what are you trying to counter? It feels like they made a blind choice here.
Yes.
And this draft, this top 3 picks, in other scenarios would look strong, but in this one, I don't feel like it speaks to me as to any sort of plan. It's just kind of like, let's try to be safe here, but it doesn't push anything forward, and Black now has all the options.
And I think you said it best. They're playing blind here, Expert. And that's, of course, MVP Black's intention. Kharazim has been on the first half of the draft, but not that often, and it's for a reason. He's not the highest priority, but in doing so, MVP Black has hidden any intention. We don't know their warrior or their assassin route. And this is one of the biggest mysteries here about to unfold in the next 25 seconds. We can make guesses, but we can't be sure.
It's so open.
Well, not anymore, I suppose. Li Ming coming through with ETC. And, you know, this looks to be just another defensive comp from MVP Black. It has a lot of damage potential to be aggressive with ETC and Karazim. Obviously, Rhaegar's bite and things like that. But in terms of when the Immortal phase is running, that's when Black mostly posturing with ETC and Rhaegar, while Li Ming is doing that main damage. So it's going to now be on Expert to find a comp that can get in there and hit that Li Ming. Sonya is going to be useful in this case, Muradin as well, to get under that back line. But I think they need more.
I'm feeling a final pick Malthael for MVP Black, and I think Expert has to consider it.
Yeah, they definitely have to consider. I think the Brightwing does well there. One thing I see on the side, but when you've got Karazim, you've got ETC, you have the potential block party, you've got the Earth ally there. So going into auto attack style heroes, you might not get the most value out of. So they're kind of putting them into a direction they might not feel entirely comfortable with in terms of that back line. I talked about Nick's Vala. The Tracer's not as appealing with this composition now, so
I think Ana Vala could be the best choice here. Ana, with the spell power attack at level 7, could remove much of the damage of a Malthael. They're going to go with Tassadar, which I feel is a lot more of a passive approach and much weaker against Malthael, who to me seems the obvious choice here coming out. I could be wrong, but
I don't think they really needed wave clear here either.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's, it feels like this is a comfort pick kind of idea here.
And you know what? Ana has even better vision control than Tassadar. He's got an Oracle every, what, 20, 30 seconds? It is going to be the Haka. But Ana can also use the healing darts to check for bushes. Yeah. Every 2 seconds.
I think the Dahaka pick over the Malthael pick does weaken the defensive composition that Black is trying to run here. Obviously, if you try to get onto Li Ming and you have those Tormented Souls, it's going to be a lot stronger. But I suppose if Black gets ahead, then Sonya has to come down, the Thero has to come down, and you have Rich just sitting up there getting that extra damage. That's the trade-off. I think it does give them a stronger pushing power in that top lane, but it's not as strong in terms of team fighting, so I think that's pretty good for Expert.
But the Vala pick, we know the power of the Q build on here. Again, it's something that I've seen Nick play a countless amount of times. So you got to have faith in that. When you've got Sonya, you've got Vala on the Immortal, you at least have the race potential. And there's a lot of race potential on the other side. It gives you the poke value. It gives you a standard comp. And I think, as we talked about so many times, going up against MVP Black without just like, all right, we can't necessarily take a team fight, but if you play safe, play standard, MVP Black will literally try and steamroll you at that point. And that's what scares me. Can they deal with the aggression of MVP Black?
Your thoughts?
Dahaka will outpush Brightwing and force Sonya to go to the offlane, which like in a big way weakens Expert's team fight.
Makes the rotates weird.
Yeah. In terms of Immortal trading, if they both just go ham, Vala will do great and Sonya decent, but Rhaegar is one of the best supports at it. And you've got Li Ming. I think, you know, I do think it's a balanced draft. I do think better execution will win out.
I think the draft for Expert, I feel like it feels like a solid Hero League draft, a draft where you're very happy with the results. You've got these 5 players, you're like, okay, we've got one great thing for each role, but it doesn't have a theme. And Black's theme is obvious. We've got this global, we're going to use it to push, and we're going to defend Li Ming, who's going to do the damage. And I think that's the problem, that's the disconnect. The thematic draft for Black, and Expert tried to play too safe.
Well, guys, it's time to go to game number 2 now as we continue things on. MVP Black currently leads 1-0 in this best of 5. Can Expert bring it back, or can MVP Black push it further?
Expert might be playing safe here with the draft, but it's a draft that we've seen many times from them in the past. The crowd continues to be hyped up, and they're ready for this match, Caldor.
Yeah, I'm hyped too. Like the first game, we saw the dominance of the Korean team, Black looking strong here. But then again, it's a lot of comfort picks that we're seeing for Expert right now. I was thinking if they might head into a Tracer style again with double support, Nick excelling on the hero, of course. But then especially with the first 2 picks, the supports, a lot of chase potential with Karazim against Tracer. So they go into Vala, and that can really work for them. They had a lot of success with these particular compositions in the European phase.
Well, it's good to see Vala again. We haven't seen her in a while. Let's go ahead and go to game number 2. It's going to be Battlefield of Eternity, as we're going to figure out if Team Expert can tie it up against MVP Black, or if MVP Black will get a large lead heading in this best of 5 series.
Expert is definitely the underdog in the series here, but they're here to fight. They need to go up against the team to the left of the map with a 1-0 lead. Sake on a Karazim. We have Reset, this time on Li Ming for the range damage. Tisk is playing ETC. Kyoja on a second support with Rhaegar, and Rich on the Haka. Ladies and gentlemen, MVP Black!
On the right side, in the red, Curson will be playing Brightwing. Bad Benny will be back on his Muradin. A Thorough Angel on Sonya. ADRD playing Tassadar. And Vala will be played by Nick. It's Team Expert.
Mediati definitely immediately adapting his build a little bit here. Now speccing on level 1 into Psy Infusion, which is the more common talent on the European realm to take on Tacita. I really feel that the last game adaptation was very much because of Blackstrap, in particular Tracer, trying to put a bit more pressure on her, which didn't quite work out in their favor. But in this setup that we're seeing for Team Expert now, as we mentioned before, a lot of comfort picks. Bad Benny excels on Muradin. Sonya, Ethereal Angel is so good on here. And of course, then we have Curson on Brightwing. And there's a lot of teams that say that Brightwing in Curson hands can single-handedly win a team fight with good isolation of the target.
Personally, I'm excited for the late game for both these compositions. Team Expert, when they hit 16, they will get scary. Tassadar with the double side storm. You have Sonya getting a little bit more tanky. Murden as well being able to jump across the map. It feels like Vala finishing up her Hungering Arrow build. Things will look scary here for Team Expert, but over at MVP Black, Kerzim is level 16. Li Ming having those resets coming in the Mirror Ball. So let's see if we can even get that far on BOE. As the early game trades seem to be going slightly in favor of Team Expert as Vala continues to move forward and apply those auto attacks.
I actually think it's really interesting to see that we have Power Hungry taken from Reset on this map in particular. On most maps, you can get so much value out of the globes and out of the talent that you can make a strong argument for it. Whereas we are seeing on Battlefield of Eternity a lot more just like really standoffs in the middle where you just don't have the access to the globes. So it's going to be interesting to see how much value he actually gains from that level 1 choice.
Feels like he thinks and believes that they're going to win the Immortal phase pretty handily, being able to grab those 2 region globes. Nick, though, taking damage on the right side. It's Black. Will set up and engage. They'll take out Nick. Can they get Bad Benny as well? He's kiting backwards. It's going to be 2 kills here for Black.
They get the double kill here early on in the game. Sonya, in the meantime, was still at the top, so Black committing the entire team to the bot lane for these 2 early game kills, and that gives Ethereal a little bit more wiggle room to not only clear an additional wave, but also jump onto the Immortal early. But of course, Black still gets the halftime show here.
They get the halftime show here. Expert does bring everyone back toward the middle lane here to go ahead and start setting up as Murden will show up. Where is going to be the Immortal spawns? Ooh, this is going to be a bit hard for Team Expert. They may just have to take the trade and defend against the Immortal.
Yeah, so with the first Immortal, we of course have the positions then to the left and right, and Expert already grouped up around it, trying to just burn it down as fast as they can. Their problem here is that Vala just hasn't really completed the level 4 quest yet. Level 4 talent just came online, so we don't have any stacks. Later on, it's really going to help them to burn the hit points down. But they eliminated most of the shield, so the first Immortal for MVP Black is still something that they should be able to handle, unless, of course, Black can once again isolate a few heroes and get kills in.
Yes, at 4 and 7, very important for the Vala. Now, with the top lane being pushed in with the Immortal, they put Dehaka only up on that top side, so he'll be able to defend it, but MVP Black is splitting on the bottom side. This is something that Team Expert has seen in the past with Trick Esports, so they know they're setting up for the defense and being ready for it.
Black is playing this extremely well in the early game already, taking the lead in experience here. Bad Benny once again just towing the line. And him on Muradin, it's just a pleasure to watch it because he really knows how deep he can go. We saw it on the last map in particular. He was always incredibly low, but he found these opportunities for his team and could even turn a dire situation into a potential kill. Black in the end wins the map, but we still have that potential for Expert to turn fights around. They just have to prove it now here on Battlefield of Eternity.
Yeah, Bad Benny has been superb on that Murden. I will worry about him a little bit here with it being Brightwing and Tassadar for the healers instead. Yeah, so hopefully we'll see him in this tournament at some point, Keldor. I know that'll make you happy.
Yeah, and the Horse Cam shout out here as well. Horse Cam and Spicy Chicken, the secret weapons of Team Expert. So far, they've not really proven to be enough to beat MVP Black, but we're only in game number 2, so there's still a long way to go. Black hasn't won the series yet, but they're definitely looking good.
Yeah, one has to wonder how long Horse Camp can actually affect your gameplay. Is it expiring too soon, the actual power that it got from that camp?
I don't know the cooldown either. You would have to ask Bad Benny for that.
Well, we'll see if they'll be able to push through here as MVP Black continues to control the map pretty darn well. Bottom side, 2 turrets have been cleaned up. The Immortal phase has gone through. We did some damage on the top lane. And Dehaka versus Sonya continues. And Team Expert is just waiting on the side. Their only main goal here is for Nick to continue to finish that level 4 quest as soon as possible. And right now, he only has 2 stacks.
Exactly. It doesn't get a lot of stacks so far, and it would really help them with the Immortal phase if they can increase those a bit more. But also with level 7, we have a couple of power spikes, especially when we're talking at Li Ming. Having Calamity available, it really helps you to confirm kills in team fights and, of course, get those resets for your heroes. So this is something to watch out for later on, as we have the second Immortal soon going to be announced. The teams are now now, also looking for their camps, obviously. But I'm curious to see how much Expert can now do with these level 7s. Since, yes, Li Ming excels with her Calamity and can really be the decider in a team fight. But we have on the side of Team Expert Poison Spear now. We have the range for AD already for Tacitus, so he can stay safer in the background a bit. The heavy impact for Murden alone is already a huge game changer, and repeating Arrow is going to make it so much easier for Vala to push the damage either on the Immortal or on a target.
I mean, that 7 power spike is great for both of our top laners. Even Dahaka with that Feeding Frenzy, he becomes a menace to be able to work in those auto attacks. Team Expert is now in a spot where they are defending their Immortal on the right side, while they put Tassadar on the top to continue pushing forward with the Mercenary camp. Meanwhile, Brightwing's in the bottom, but you mentioned it earlier. Dahaka versus Brightwing is quite a difficult matchup. Oh, but hang on, Nick's in a weird spot here as he gets caught out as MVP Black turns it up.
Great call by MVP Black. They see an opportunity and they go for it immediately. Bad Benny falls as well. He was forced into an awkward spot because Vala was split. He was trying to save her, and Black just gets kill after kill. They drive the wedge into the composition. Vala is isolated. Everybody scrambles to try and save her since she is still the main damage for the team. And then as a result, they not only lose their hyper carry here, but they also lose Muradin and Kirsten, who both attempted to save them. So right now, a solid leading experience for MVP Black, starting to snowball towards level 10, and they also have the most pressure on the Immortal. If they can push with a full shield Immortal and a level 10 advantage, Expert would be in for a world of pain.
All Expert can do right now is try to burn down as much of the Immortal as they can, or try to get a kill. And they look like they're looking for that kill. They jump on Kyocha and dive him on the top side. Can they actually get a kill here? Sodi gets dragged on the side. Kyocha pulling back to the Immortal, and he's going to be just fine as Rick will chase a thorough.
They're going for the defense. The drag connects. Meriden jumps in, but the kill as Sonya goes down, and they go for Bad Benny. They have the level 10s right now. They take him down as well. 7 kills against 0, and they're about to confirm another MVP Black toying with their food on Battlefield of Eternity.
MVP Black is just outclassing Team Expert right now. 8 kills to 0. A Immortal with a massive shield will be pushing on the bottom lane, it looks like. No, the top lane here. And no, it doesn't be the bottom. It's going to be the bottom lane pushing in with a huge Immortal here. A lot of shields, and they have level 10 here, Kaldor.
Now, you can understand the thought process of Team Expert. They saw that it was only half a level until Black hits 10. If they just give the Immortal up, then all of a sudden it's a level 10 Immortal with shields moving in. So they said, guys, this is a risk. We might lose it here, but if we go in and get the kill, then we can just equalize again. We can reset, and it's going to be a lot easier for us to defend this. But of course, with them losing another 3 heroes, this is just completely snowballing out of hand. You can see how passive they are here. They know they have no chance of contesting it without level 10, so they are playing safe for now. They sacrifice the fort, and they will now start to make their way in, but they need the level 10. Here comes the 7-sided. Bad Benny in trouble. They still don't have heroic abilities, but the keep is now threatened.
The keep is threatened. 10 right around the corner here for Team Expert. They've managed to get through the shield, which is good here, but can they do more? Bad Benny continues to Kai on the right side. 10 so close for Team Expert. Finally it hits. Now, will they take this opportunity to jump in? Yes, they do. Bad Benny charges forward, but with a knockback from Tisk, Team Expert turns around and focuses the Immortal, and they'll be safe here as they keep up their keep.
I absolutely love what Black just did. They could have been saying, hey guys, this is easy, and being a little bit too arrogant, just say that, try and go for the keep. Instead, they immediately said, why risk it?
Yeah.
We already blew through the fort. We already blew through the wall. At this point, we have a 2-level lead. They are going to look for a fight once they hit 10, so let's just back off. And they just keep ETC in the perfect position. They push everyone back with a face melt and saying like, yeah, we're going to wait for 13, and then we're going to take it from there. We can fight for the next Immortal. There is no need for us to accept the team fight that Expert desperately needs.
Well, the story would have been way different there if Nick had actually been caught out. He was actually very careful with not using his Bolt there. The Wave of Force came out, and he was able to Bolt afterwards. Now, looking in progress, Team Expert has fought back a little bit on the bottom side and got some damage on the fort, but with Dahaka coming in, Rich turns around with an isolation. He will hit Murden. 7-sided strike just nails that Benny here to low health, but he's able to get out. A Rain of Vengeance comes out on Nick.
Giving Brightwing the opportunity to use the ult for even more safety for Bad Benny here. But once again, we're seeing MVP Black moving in. Rich is a little bit low as ADRD is trying to get the kill. The Mosh Pit comes in. The Cleanse as well. But still Kirsten ready with the Polymorph. But Bad Benny's solo. He gets blown up. And that is where Li Ming is getting kill after kill. Moving in for a double, a triple. And only 2 heroes on the side of Team Expert are able to walk away from the carnage.
2 walk away, but that's more than that could have been. Risa actually actually missing out on some of those abilities, getting the proper resets to get the kills. So Team Expert will save too, but you can see MVP Black continues to outclass him 11-0 in kills. Let's check out that fight here. As Bad Benny got low, we saw that there was a nice grab on the left side here for a Thorough as he continued to sit near 3 people, but on the right, Bad Benny goes in for a big dwarf toss into a Stormbow, and he misses. So Tis takes the opportunity, power slides in, goes for Amash, and from there, reset, just finished it up.
Yeah, they're getting the kills immediately, and especially also seeing the cleanse on the mosh pit. It didn't really give them as much as they were hoping for. Curson was ready for it, but it's still a very nice touch on the side of MVP Black, and it shows the coordination. It shows how disciplined they are currently with that play, and Expert is just scrambling. Also, what we saw in that last fight was a perfect move with the combo, getting the isolation on a target and then the 7-sided strike. That what initiated everything. And once again, we're having Expert fighting. They are talent down, but they need to do something, and they know it.
Well, they know 7-sided strike has been used. They're trying to force an issue here while they have that big heroic down for 30 seconds. Also, Moshpit still down for 30 seconds. Team Expert forcing the issue here, moving straight into the Immortal, using that Poison Spear when he can. ADRD and crew poking on the side, but Reset is ready to go. All they need is Tist to power slide in.
And MVP Black cleared the camp at the top lane. The Shaman camp on the bot lane, on the other hand, pushing for MVP Black, is still active. So Expert needs to rotate down and deal with it. And this is what they're doing now, which gives MVP Black the opportunity to go for the Immortal. They've been waiting for someone to show down here, and they immediately started to attack.
Superb play here from MVP Black as they start the halftime show. They have a nice lead as well. The Immortal will be landing soon, and they can go ahead and focus it down here, especially with Kerazim and Li Ming hitting the wells here to top on off. They go in for a fight though on Tist here, as we'll have Bad Benny engaging the fight. Tist does get away, but the Immortal continues to get low. Team Expert has to play defense.
Expert really does not want to go into big fights, but they have to. They are pressured so hard here. They cannot sit tight and just wait for the experience to tickle in to get level 13. So they are in an uncomfortable position where they know they are in a very bad spot to fight, but they have to. Murden once again chained all their time, and it's 7-sided side hits as well, and the isolation from the Haka. Well played here. They try to go for reset, but they can't confirm the kill against Li Ming, and now it's Brightwing's time to die. Another double kill for MVP Black. 13 kills against 0. Make that 1.
A Thorough's wanting to chase, so he's continuing to move in. The drag, he dodges it, he turns around, he looks at Rich, bringing out the slams. Can they get a kill on Dahaka? He's gonna burrow and pop the essence here and be able to turn it around. Back and forth between these two teams. Now Murden is back up, but he has to get across the map. A Thorough trying to kite backwards.
Rich, a second ago, he was in trouble, but he dodges their spear, he hits the drag, and Sonya dies.
Sonya dies here, and Team Expert will take what they can here. Even Curson a little bit stunned there as he walks a little bit too far forward. 15-13. Team Expert continues to fall further and further behind. Now with Kerazim spawning up, MVP Black can push his top lane and get 16.
Expert finally has their 13, but it is just too late. Let's keep in mind that all of these fights that we just saw were with MVP Black having a talent advantage over Team Expert. But Expert, normally you would say, sit tight, wait, give something up, and just wait until you can fight on even footing with your opponent. But Expert knew they couldn't afford to do that. MVP Black is pushing with these Immortals, and they needed to fight for them. Now that we finally have 13, Black is already so far ahead that they just hit the 16 talents. Expert can never get the fights they want, and Murden just gets blown to pieces. Doesn't even have the chance to go for his avatar. Now Sonya dies too. This is the beginning of the end.
Rich directly baits out that engagement there. Both Sonya and Bad Benny force the issue, missing completely there, and then they turn it around and got the kill. The Keep easily going to be taken down here. 12 more seconds for Murden back on the field. Team Expert has to be safe. They have to kite backwards. Nick being as careful as he can.
Cleanse just being used after Nick went in for the stun with the Rain of Vengeance, but Vala gets blown off. The stagger Deathseer Kirsten too late with the Emerald Win to save anyone, and now the Immortal is walking straight up to the core. Bad Benny trying to slow them down, but MVP Black, they want to end it right here.
Archon has been popping the side here. Rich trying to do his best to zone out ADRD, and ADRD will get focused down. 7-sided strike kills Bad Benny as well, and MVP Black will move straight for the Immortal and grab another lead here in the specified series, going up 2-0.
They're trying to go for Vala to make it 20 kills, but it's not quite happening. 19 kills against 1, as MVP Black is victorious on Battlefield of Eternity and takes the 2-0 lead in the best of 5 semifinal at the HGC Finals.
Experts having a hard time here with MVP Black. The number 2 team at the Western Clash having a really hard time here against the best in the East. Let's go ahead and go straight to our desk and get their thoughts on game number 2.
If there was any doubt if MVP Black are back. That was really difficult to say there for a moment. Black are back. There you go. If there was any doubt about that, it has pretty cleanly been dispelled when you see games of that caliber. That was just a butchering of Team Expert.
Yeah, we were not aware that there was such a big difference actually between MVP Black and Expert. Actually, Bad Bunny said that they had good scrim results, which was in stark contrast with what Reset said, where he said Expert doesn't look like that much of a threat from scrim results. Funny juxtaposition there. But one more thing is, Bad Bunny, despite putting on a brave face, he did say maybe the underdog can do well. Now, he left out who he thought the underdog was, but I feel like there was a subliminal insecurity there going up against the MVP Black, and we can see now the prowess of MVP Black, and we can see why.
In fact, speaking of seeing things, I think you do have a highlight or two to...
Yeah, I have one highlight, actually, because MVP Black turned on the pressure very early on. As we roll this replay forward, this is kind of those do-or-die moments. You know, level 10 is about to be reached. We see Murden jumping in there. We had a lot of cool stun things happening here. We have that drag tongue. We've got the, you know, Murden jump in, trying to make something happen. They actually comboed it with the stun. But in comes ETC. Here we see that drag tongue. Rich has been playing amazingly. It's like, oh, you know, I'll just stun him again. In comes Murden. The final warrior has the right of way, it seems, has the say. And then just one kill was enough to spiral it completely out of control and start this cascade of takedowns that MVP Black never really held up with.
This is, again, the defensive style of Black. They have 10 first. They have the lead on the Immortal. It's Expert is forced to make a fight, and you just see these defensive engagements again and again and again. This was a mechanical outclassing of Expert, you know, basically from Black. And Reset, touted as the best Leeming player in the world. You see these wave of forces coming through these defensive engagements. It's just so tough to compete against a team of this caliber.
The whole thing that we said in the draft is, and I've talked to several players, like, you can't play this style against MVP Black. They will literally run past whatever it is you're trying to do with your front line. They will literally put so much pressure on you, and teams are not used to that. This is a very rare team in their form, and I think they're just going to try and steamroll it. They steamrolled it. Again, the whole thing about the second game that just surprised me was Expert not taking the map pick and then going to one of MVP Black's best, one that highly emphasizes team fighting, and then playing that style. Felt a little bit off there.
Yeah, and you know, a large part of this quality that we can't put our fingers on. Why is MVP Black coming ahead in every situation? We can say the blanket, they're better mechanically, but I feel a large part of it was the battle of Bad Bunny versus Tist. You've got Sonya and Vala. They do really good damage. If they can pick a target that gets isolated or stunned, they will get a mark. They will get a kill. Why did it never work? Why did it never take off? Is Tist versus Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny jumps in, and you know, everyone was talking about how good Murden was going to be at this tournament. Dwarf toss in, stun, follow up Stormbolt, and that's a long, but always Tist with the face melt. I counted them, about 95% success rate. Murden jumps in, face melt. It interrupts him. He's not unstoppable, and the stun never happens.
Yeah, and this comp is never going to face melt early. Why would you? And whoever has the defender's advantage is going to win out these trades every time. You can't bait the face melt and then come in. If you could, or if you could find those windows, maybe you could make those plays happen. But it's a defensive comp from Black, and it's a comp they've shown countless times. And I agree with Jehao. Don't pick this map against this team that will run this style.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. As we're going to go to a short break here, and when we return, game number 3. Currently, MVP Black leads 2-0 here against Team Expert.